Welcome into Building the Pride, emergency podcasts coming to you for two reasons today. Number one, I had a terrible day at work and need to take it easy tonight. But that has been dealt a serious blow because it would appear that the Green Bay Packers have made a trade for Micah Parsons. Terrible news for the Detroit Lions. Now, instead of playing Micah Parsons possibly once every other year or so, they're going to play him 2 times a year. This is a power move from the Packers to get right back into the mix of things in the NFC. He is arguably a top 3 edge rusher. He's excellent. There's a lot of information still coming in about this. So this is what we know right now. Per sources, the Packers are sending defensive tackle Kenny Clark, who is third on their team as far as cap number is concerned. He'll make just over $20 million this year. He is 30. He's a defensive tackle. Oh, God. There's so many ads. And he has 2 years left on his deal after this current season. So Dallas is getting help on the interior of their defensive line. And Green Bay is getting a premier pass rusher in this deal. They are also giving up 2 first-round picks, according to Adam Schefter. So Dallas is getting 2 first-round picks and a defensive tackle. The Packers get Micah Parsons. The other news is that Green Bay has signed Micah Parsons to an extension. The money that I have seen bandied about on the extension is 4 years, $188 million, which means that comes to an annual AAV of $47 million a year. So if I do some quick math and look at edge rusher on PFF's site, TJ Watt signed I believe a 3-year, $123 million extension. Myles Garrett got 4 years, $160, and now Micah Parsons has received 4 years, $188 million. So not only does he become the highest paid non-quarterback ever, he becomes the highest paid non-quarterback ever and averages $6 million a year more than TJ Watt. Like, this is leaps and bounds ahead of what we would have expected the next, I would imagine, Aiden Hutchinson getting on his extension. It also means that Aiden Hutchinson is probably literally jumping up and down and clapping his hands like a 6-year-old girl, because now his agent can say, don't you value Aiden more than Green Bay values Micah Parsons? And this is, I think, there's so much to get into when it comes to how this trade affects the division. So I'm going to go to Green Bay's roster lineup. Okay, so let me just. Usually Mike does all this stuff, so he makes it really easy for me to Share my screen, share this screen, share this. Go back here, add it to the thing. Okay. So here is, I'll make it bigger. I always yell at Mike to make it bigger. That's the wrong way. Okay, so this is Green Bay's defense. Xavier McKinney, Seth or Evan Williams, a really good young safety. They have, if Detroit has the best safety duo in the NFL, Green Bay has the second best. And Edgerrin Cooper is another really young linebacker that some people are saying could end up becoming the best off-ball linebacker in the NFL once Fred Warner starts to take a step back. Of course, they have Quay Walker, who was the idiot who touched the official. And then who's this guy? Isaiah McDuffie, who looks like a dude. Now they have Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons. Now I like Rashawn Gary. He was the highest recruit in Michigan's history, but Michigan asked him to basically be like an edge setter, like Marcus Davenport, and not actually rush the passer. So in Green Bay, he's a pass rusher, but I don't know that he's a number one pass rusher. Well, guess what? He doesn't have to be that anymore. He can now be the second pass rusher. And like, there's a chance. I mean, like, I think that he would be in the discussion now for who's the best number two edge rusher on their team in the NFL. So I think this does a lot to say Micah Parsons can be matched up against anybody in the NFL and basically say like, well, they're probably screwed because Micah Parsons is lining up against them. And now Rashawn Gary gets to take on the less imposing tackle or whatever. So that's pretty worrisome. Let's take a look here at the middle of their lineup. So this is Carl Brooks, I believe. Yep, super young, rookie deal. Devonta Wyatt, yep, rookie deal. These guys could get a lot better. Keyshawn Nixon, one of their corners. Remember, they lost Jair Alexander. Nate Hobbs. So their cornerbacks are the weakness of their defense now. That and maybe the middle. Right here. Right in the interior offensive line and like half of their linebacking core. So if I'm the Lions, I want to run the ball straight through like where basically like where Tate Ratledge is going to be. But this is extreme. This is kind of insane. So the only other thing that I can really think of is that like the Packers giving up 2 first-round picks. I don't know how much that matters because they tend to spend those picks on defensive players. So I imagine that the people who were anxious for the Lions to quote unquote go all in on like a Trey Hendrickson or to make a trade like this are loving this move because this is what quote unquote going all in looks like. And I don't even know that they went in all that hard. They went all in on the money, and like giving up Kenny Clark is certainly a loss. Like he is a legit above average player and starter in the NFL. And they are paying a ton for their defense now. I would love to know what the split is between the offense and defense on the Green Bay Packers. So like right now, Jordan Love, just under $30 million this year. Rashawn Gary, 25. Kenny Clark, that money comes off. Let's see if we trade this to trade post June 1. They're going to split the money on Kenny Clark. Then it's Xavier McKinney offensive lineman, Josh Jacobs, the running back, and now we're under $10 million. So like they're not paying a bunch of people much money at all. Like they're not even to the point in like their roster build where Detroit is, where Detroit has started to extend a lot of their quote unquote homegrown players. Like the homegrown players on Green Bay, especially on their defense, are Williams, at the safety spot, Cooper at the linebacker spot, somebody like Brooks and Wyatt. They have a kid from Iowa, Lucas Van Ness, I think his name is. FTP can only afford to pay Micah $47 a year because they don't have any draft picks demanding money. They are the first team in league history to have two guys making $100 million now. Yeah, we're soon to follow. Who's the other guy? Is it Gary? What do you mean, Detroit fan man? What do you mean when you say they are the first team in league history to have two guys making $100 million? Let me just click on Rashawn Gary over here. He signed an extension for $96 million, according to Over the Cap. Let's see. Oh, okay. You're referencing a tweet. I gotcha. But like this is terrible for Detroit. Like this is the kind of move. Okay, the $188 million does appear to be the number. Sorry, I know this is probably terrible to watch as I'm reading something. This is just shocking to me. This almost never happens. This kind of thing literally almost never happens where some dude holds out. Oh, Brad Spielberger. Packers become first team in NFL history to pay $100 million plus annually to just two players. It's got to be Jordan Love's the other guy, right? Really? The first team in NFL history to have $200 million contracts on the roster? Like I get it. Like someone could be like, I'm going to play my last year, my rookie deal, and then I'm going to start my extension, which was for $100 million plus. But like to be actively paying, it's probably not Jordan Love. Now that I think about it, yeah, no, it is because he signed it. He signed a big extension too. Yeah. 220. Okay. Gotcha. Good catch, Detroit fan, man. That was a good catch, man. So this is going to be. I got you. This is going to be tough for the Lions and for everybody else in the NFC North. So the Packers are very clearly saying we want to win it now. And I don't know how much one player can really affect a team overall, but Green Bay's strength of their team, I think for a long time has been their defense. They have had fundamentally good defensive play. They have continually restocked that talent pool with first round, second round picks. I mean, Green Bay basically spends first round picks on defensive player or offensive lineman. And that's just a good policy. That's just a good policy. And they signed Xavier McKinney last offseason to like a pretty decent sized deal. But everybody else on this defense, I believe, is a draft pick. I'm pretty sure. I'm not so sure about the corners, but I'm pretty sure. And now they have made this huge trade. So like if the Lions are concerned about this, like I think that like the idea of like Giovanni Manu working out is now even further from becoming a reality, because you have to say, if you're the Lions, I would imagine you have to say like, okay, the dude's making progress, but can he even get on the field against guys and knowing that Micah Parsons is in the division for 2 games. And like Detroit plays Green Bay week 1. Now Parsons will have something like 9 or 10 days on the roster before playing in that game. But do you have to do anything with him other than tell him, like, go get Jared Goff? I think this changes the way that the Lions have to set their blocking protections in this game. And it's like there's not a ton of time left. So just an excellent move from Green Bay. Like, they can afford it. He upgrades the entire defense, probably the entire team. I mean, you could argue that, they've been drafting somewhere between like, 18 and 24, 26 the last couple of years. Like low to mid 20s, somewhere high teens, something like that. So how valuable are those picks really? Like, are you in a position to get an elite offensive player? Maybe you're in a position to get an elite defensive player, but like none of the defensive players on their team. So Wyatt was a first round pick. Gary was a first round pick. But like, I believe that if you have a bunch of first round picks on your roster, like, you help your salary cap, right? But like, I think that Green Bay is probably in a fine position to absorb his contract. Yeah, they're not even. They should have. Yeah, they have cap space. So like, if I click on, can you guys see it even? Nope. So like, if I click on, well, let's see it. There's maybe Detroit fan is the only person in chat, but like right now, if I'm looking at overthecap.com for 2026, like, that doesn't factor in how much the cap could go up, but the Vikings have the worst cap situation in the NFL. They're $53 million over. The Lions have the third worst cap situation in the NFL. They're $31 million over. Now, if they extend both JMO and Hutch and restructure Goff, that all goes away. The Bears are only over the under the cap next year by $1 million. The Packers are under the cap by $15 million, and that'll probably be the first year of Parsons' extension. So that's going to eat into that cap number pretty heavily. But like, they're the best positioned team in the division to absorb a major inclusion like Micah Parsons. I'm shocked that he got traded. I'm shocked that Dallas traded him. I mean, like, they traded him for good things. Kenny Clark is a good player. First round picks are good. But like, I wonder if this was done because they couldn't pay him. So if I go back and I look at the Cowboys, next year they're scheduled to be under the cap by $7.5 million. Let's see where they are right now. Right now they have $20 million in cap space, and this is all before the Parsons stuff has hit these numbers. So let me look up Micah Parsons just real quick. So Micah Parsons, post June 1 trade, they are going to save $24 million this year by trading him. So they more than double their cap space. And now they have 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years, 2 of their own, 2 of the Packers. Now, these are still both, like, I would say that both Dallas and Green Bay before the trade were likely playoff teams. I think Green Bay is now closer to a playoff team than Dallas is, just because the exchange of talent. But I think now Dallas is set up to basically say, like, We just didn't have to pay a huge contract. And like, even if you say we're paying all of Kenny Clark's money, they still save $4 million on their cap. And now they're going to be able to add 4 first-round picks over the next 2 years. So, like, which unit do you want to revamp? So if they spent all those picks on defensive linemen, you know, a couple of years from now, they could have a super young, super good defensive line or offensive line, right? Like, this gives them the flexibility to basically say, in what way do we want to be better? So it's a move very clearly for Dallas's near future, and it's a move for Green Bay's immediate future, right? So this is just a shocking move. Like, I think that Penei Sewell can handle Rashawn Gary all game and not get beat. I don't know the same about Micah Parsons. I think Taylor Decker would. I don't know that there's a left tackle in the NFL that's going to stonewall Micah Parsons all game. But like, this to me says, if you want to beat the Packers, you're going to have to do it by running the ball and attacking very specific areas of their defense. And like, this is a nightmare for every team in the NFC North for the next 4 or 5 seasons. So, well, for at least the next 5 seasons, right? Let's see. I'm pouring out one from my Dallas homies. Losing Luka. Oh, yeah. And Micah in about 6 months is so tough, like Cade and Hutch got dealt. Huh. So the Luka Doncic, well, let me talk about Luka Doncic just for a second, since Detroit Fan Man brings it up. That trade should have been nullified by the NBA. To trade, hang on one second. Let me get that out of here so you can just see my face bare. Let me look up Luka Doncic trade. Okay, so this is what the Luka Doncic trade was. The Los Angeles Lakers got Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, who's a fine player, and Markieff Morris, who is a role player at this point. Dallas got Anthony Davis, shooting guard Max Christie, a 2029 first-round pick from the Lakers, and some money from the Jazz. The Jazz got point guard Jalen Hood Schifino and 2 second-round picks. This is just straight robbery on the part of the Los Angeles Lakers. First of all, the fact that Dallas calls you up and says, "Hey, we want to trade one of the most important players in the NBA to you. We want Anthony Davis, and we're willing to value Anthony Davis almost on a 1-for-1 ratio with Luka Doncic," is nuts. So if you look at the 2029 first round pick that they get, it's 2025. So we're talking like Luka Doncic is what, in his mid-20s? Luka Doncic, click. He was born in 99. He's 26. He's going to be 30. I don't think that the Lakers are so bad in 2029 with a 30-year-old Luka Doncic that you can say, oh, that 29 pick is going to be a lottery pick. They're going to be a playoff team. They are both 26, makes this even crazier. Luka and Micah, yeah. Yeah, the Dallas-Los Angeles trade is so unbelievably lopsided toward the Los Angeles Lakers that, I mean, if the league stepped in and said no to the Chris Paul trade, they should have stepped in and said no to the Luka Doncic trade. They should have at least forced the Lakers to shop him around the NBA to gauge actual market interest. Because there's some teams that would have moved heaven and earth to get Luka Doncic. And like the reason that Los Angeles made this trade was because they didn't have to give up anything equivalent to Luka Doncic. They didn't have to mortgage their future. You know, they're going to be able to get if LeBron leaves after the season, they're going to get back the money that they're paying LeBron, right? And then they're going to be able to attract free agents to build around Luka. Or if they trade LeBron James, if he asks to be traded and he wants to choose where he plays next, they're going to get some combination of cap relief, young players, and picks, right? So even if they got quote unquote nothing and LeBron just walks away into free agency, the cap relief that they're getting from paying LeBron James is a benefit. So like they don't lose anything. Like they basically said, we're going to get to continue to be the Los Angeles Lakers for like the next somewhere between 5 and 10 seasons. If Luka can, and like, I think that this was the thing that made Luka Doncic say, I'll get in shape. And like, he looks like he's in shape now. And that's insane. Because if Dallas had quote unquote pudgy Luka, like one of the reasons that they said that they wanted to trade him was that they weren't sure of his like commitment to the sport because he wouldn't get in shape. Like his eating habits were trash. And like the way they lived his lifestyle, he wasn't doing it in a way that helped prolong his career. But like, I think that trading him from Dallas to LA like hurt his feelings, because if he's in shape and like he's an in shape athlete that can do what he does, the Lakers are going to get the best version of him. Okay, so that's enough about basketball. But tipping my hat to the Green Bay Packers. Like, I don't know that they really it's insane. Is it as insane as claiming the player's agent isn't necessary for negotiations? Again, just pouring out one for my Dallas homies. So Jerry Jones is nuts. So we talked about this a little bit on the show on Tuesday. He's nuts. Like, this whole situation to me didn't seem like it had involved Micah Parsons so much as it involved Jerry Jones hating the fact that Micah Parsons' agent didn't want to do business the way that Jerry Jones wants to do business. And I think Jerry Jones largely traded Michael Lutchies, who sometimes comes and hangs out on our show, has just tweeted, Lions fans, why didn't Brad make that trade and deal for Parsons? And then he brings up the 2026 salary cap where we're already over by $30 million. Like, there's no way that the Lions could absorb a contract like this on, like, even if you take back, if you get every dollar back because you extend JMO and you extend Hutch and that guaranteed money comes off the books, like there's still some guaranteed money that's going to be on the books for those two guys next year. So, like, even if you got back every guaranteed dollar those two guys are owed next season on their 5th years, like, you still are $17 million in the hole. Now, you can get out from under that because you can restructure Jared Goff for like $40 million. But then you have to be able to do those cap gymnastics for the next 4 or 5 seasons, and then you don't have the picks to help alleviate the pressure. So I get it. It's fun to add players like this. The difference between Green Bay and Detroit is that Green Bay's in a position to make a move like this, and Detroit is not, cap-wise. So Green Bay did, and now Detroit's going to have to deal with it. I'm really impressed that they made this trade. I hate the fact that it's the Packers that did this. They're one of my least favorite teams in the NFL, largely because they're Lions rivals. So now we're seeing a ton of Lions fans saying the Packers still have a really bad roster. They don't have a bad roster. They didn't have a bad roster. they didn't have a bad roster before they traded for Micah Parsons. They have a better roster now. So let's see. So Eric Schlitz put out an article. Let me read it here on the show real quick. Pros and cons for Lions after Packers trade for Micah Parsons. Cons for the Lions. Parsons is a perennial defensive player of the year candidate. Lining him up opposite Rashawn Gary is scary. There is little doubt that the Packers pass rush got significantly better with the deal. In recent seasons, the Packers have been unable to find a consistent pass rusher opposite Rashawn Gary, and this year they were scheduled to have former first-round pick Lucas Van Ness in the starting role. Van Ness had difficult first 2 years in the NFL, only registering 7 sacks and 38 pressures per PFF over his first 34 games played. Compare that to Parsons, who played just 13 games last season but managed 12 sacks and 70 pressures. So almost twice what Van Ness has done in his career, and an abbreviated 75% of the season. With Gary typically lining up across from the Lions' Penei Sewell, that means that Decker will draw Parsons. While Decker, a Pro Bowler last year, is capable of handling business against even the best pass rushers in the NFL, he is 32 and coming off offseason surgery. That puts a heavy priority on the Lions making concrete plans for the future of what life will look like after Decker. Pros for the Lions. Parsons has 10 days to acclimate himself. Stupid computer. Parsons has just 10 days to acclimate himself before taking on the Lions. Kenny Clark is out of the division. How will they stop the run? Packers will take on a $26.9 million cap hit by dealing Clark. $47 million per year average will impact their ability to sign and re-sign players. Packers are without their next 2 first-round picks. Parsons can probably step on the field tomorrow and play effective defense, but one of his best qualities is his ability to do many things. With the Lions on the docket in just 10 days, how much can the Packers defense can he absorb? Lions can end up getting a break by facing Packers in week 1. Clark has historically been a lion killer, and with him out of the division, the Lions should be jumping for joy, especially the players on the interior. One of the Lions' biggest question marks this offseason was how quickly their interior offensive line would gel. Now the Lions' interior will face the likes of Carl Brooks instead of Clark, which should make their lives significantly easier. So basically, he's saying, the stuff that, I think that lots of people say when it comes to stuff like this, like, their cap took a hit. Their draft pick assets took a hit. And, like he's playing in week 1's probably a benefit. Now, I didn't know the thing about Kenny Clark being a problem for the Lions, but good. Like he's out of the division. So that's going to help a little bit. So like they're gearing up the Packers are gearing up to go after quarterbacks, right? So the Lions should be in a relatively decent place to run the ball. So if they're effective at running the ball against the Packers, I think it sets up play action, which sets up passing game, intermediate passing game, which sets up, the dominoes start to fall over. So we're going to see, maybe if you are running 21 personnel and you shift Gibbs out to the side that Micah Parsons is on, you might draw Micah Parsons away from the line of scrimmage, and then you can use Gibbs to effectively take Parsons out of some of the plays, and that probably works 5 plays a game, but those could be 5 pretty important plays. So all in all, and I'm going to leave it at this and jump off because I've just been kind of rambling the last 5 or 10 minutes. We talked basketball for some reason, but all in all, I will say this is a good move from the Packers. Kenny Clark versus Frank has been a huge chapter of recent games versus Green Bay. NFL equals not for long. All in all, a good move, a power move from the Packers. Interesting move from the Cowboys. Certainly dramatic. Looking forward to the matchup a little bit more now. I'm also a little bit worried because we play them on Thanksgiving in Detroit. And that should be plenty of time for Micah Parsons to absorb the Green Bay defense. So we will just have to see how they do. Well done, Green Bay. I still think we're the best team in the division. I think that we're going to beat them in week 1. Now I'm a little bit worried for Thanksgiving. We'll just have to see how this plays out. Will this prompt a response from Detroit? It's entirely possible. All right, guys. Really appreciate you jumping in. Thank you very much, Detroit fan man, for the interaction. Made some good points. I like the Luka Doncic thing. And I'll talk to you guys later. All right. No, they are not. Zake will stop it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.